Hey everybody, Karston with Top Go Productions here, and after a good long while, we have another Commander gameplay. 3 players featuring Tim playing Rith the Awakener, Brionne playing Zozu the Punisher, and myself playing Wrexial of the Risen Deep. Brionne's starting hand was Skullclamp, Coalition Relic, Koth of the Hammer, Soul Ring, Chromatic Lantern, and 2 Mountains. Tim's starting hand contained a Johnny Goldmane, Triumph of the Hordes, Naya Charm, Druid's Deliverance, Enlightened Tutor, a Plains, and a Forest. My opening hand contained a Vesuvian Shapeshifter, Soul Ring, Realmright, Magosi the Waterfail, Creeping Tar Pit, Halimar Depths, and an Island. Brionne went first, playing a mountain and tapping it to put Soul Ring into play. Tim played a Plains and passed. On my turn, I played an Island and cast a Soul Ring of my own. Brionne played another mountain on her turn and tapped it and Soul Ring to ramp up even more with Coalition Relic. She then cast her Skullclamp with her other mountain and passed the turn, but not before Tim cast Enlightened Tutor and joined the Soul Ring Club by fetching one of his own. On his turn, Tim played a Forest, then tapped his Plains to cast Soul Ring. He then tapped Soul Ring to cast Gruul Signet and ended his turn. I laid down a Creeping Tar Pit on my turn and cast Realmright. I passed. Brionne put a charge counter on Coalition Relic before her turn began. She removed the counter to add red to her mana pool, tapped Soul Ring, and cast Squee Goblin Nabob. She then Skullclamped Squee, drawing 2 cards. She played Darksteel Citadel and cast Kargan Dragonlord before passing her turn. Tim laid down a Plains for turn and cast a Johnny Goldmane. He activated Johnny's first ability and gained 2 life. I played Halimar Depths and rearranged the top 3 cards of my library. I ended my turn. Brionne returned Squee to her hand during her upkeep and then played a mountain, following it up with Zozu the Punisher. Then she equipped her General Skullclamp and put 2 level counters on Kargan Dragonlord. Going to combat, she hit a Johnny for 2 with her dude and ended her turn. Tim didn't get a land drop on his turn and went ahead and cast Thragtusk. He then activated a Johnny's +1 ability to once again gain 2 life. I played Magosi the Waterveil, taking 2 from Zozu and tapped out to cast Bribery. I targeted Brionne and stole a Gilded Lotus from her library. I passed the turn. Brionne didn't play land on her turn, but was able to use her mana rocks to cast Koth of the Hammer, but I countered the Planeswalker with a Hinder. She then decided to put 2 more level counters on Kargan Dragonlord and Skullclamped it. She then swung at me for 5 before ending her turn. Tim also missed a land drop in his turn and decided to pay 3 to cast Naya Charm, choosing to deal 3 damage to Brionne's Kargan Dragonlord. He then cast Darksteel Ingot and hit Brionne for 5 with his Thragtusk. Before ending his turn, Tim gained 2 life with a Johnny Goldmane's +1 ability. I played a Swamp for turn, taking another 2 from Zozu, and tapped 3 to cast Mind Funeral, targeting Brionne. After Brionne milled 13 of her cards, I cast Snapcaster Mage, targeting Mind Funeral and flashing it back to target Tim. Tim milled 17 cards from his library, and I ended my turn. Brionne declined from playing a land on her turn and hit Johnny with Zozu for 2. Post-combat, she cast Mana Barbs, and then she cast Squee before passing her turn. Tim cast Goblin Bombardment on his turn, and then came at me with his Thragtusk. I decided to chump block the beast with my Snapcaster Mage. Post-combat, Tim gained 2 more life with the Johnny, and ended. I played Mystifying Maze on my turn, taking another 2 from Zozu. I looked at my board and decided to do nothing, and passed the turn. Brionne took 1 point of damage from tapping Darksteel Citadel and cast Barbed Shocker. She went to combat, hitting Tim's Johnny for 3 with Squee and Zozu, and then hitting me with Barbed Shocker for 2, forcing me to discard the 1 card I had in my hand and draw a new card. She then ended her turn. Tim took 1 damage from Mana Barbs after tapping one of his lands to help cast Growing Ranks. Tim then attacked Brionne for 5 with Thragtusk before ending his turn. On my turn, I tapped 3 of my lands to take 3 damage to cast Lightning Greaves, Wrexial, and to equip Lightning Greaves onto Wrexial. I then swung at Tim with Wrexial, but Tim prevented any incoming damage from Wrexial with Druid's Deliverance, but had to get pinged by Mana Barbs to do so. I passed the turn to Brionne. Brionne ended up having to take 1 more from Mana Barbs in order to cast Hero of Oxid Ridge. She went straight to combat, hitting a Johnny with Zozu and Tim with Hero, and ended her turn. Tim played no land on his turn and went to his attack step, swinging at me with Thragtusk. I chump blocked with Realmright, and Tim ended his turn. On my turn, I took another point of damage from Mana Barbs in order to cast Whispering Madness. We all pitched our hands and each drew the highest number of cards between us, which was Brionne with 6. I encoded the Whispering Madness onto Wrexial and cast Cabal Ritual without Threshold, getting pinged again by Mana Barbs. I then cast Phyrexian Metamorph, copying my stolen Gilded Lotus. Going to combat, I hit Tim with Wrexial, dealing 5 points of general damage, causing everyone to discard their hands and draw 6 again. With Wrexial's triggered ability, I stole Tim's Aura Mutation from his graveyard and hit Brionne's Mana Barbs with it, getting 4 Saproling tokens. My turn wasn't quite done yet, however. I then cast Stolen Identity, putting a token of a third copy of Gilded Lotus into play and encoding it onto Wrexial. After all that greediness, I finally ended my turn. Brionne took her turn and cast Traitorous Blood, targeting Thragtusk. She skull clamped her Barbed Shocker and then swung at me with her whole team minus Zozu and Squee. Since I couldn't block with my 1/1 tokens thanks to Hero, I took a total of 14 damage due to the added Battlecry bonus. After that, she cast Price of Glory and ended her turn. Tim cast Captain of the Watch in his turn and got 3 soldier tokens. He then cast Path to Exile on Brionne Zozu and ended his turn. I played an island on my turn to cast Soul Ransom on Brionne Squee. I played Consecrated Sphinx and went to begin my combat step, but before it began, Brionne discarded 2 cards in order to get Squee back. But one of the cards I drew off of the sacked Soul Ransom was a Doomblade, which I in turn used to kill Brionne Squee. I actually began combat and hit Brionne with Wrexial for 5 points of general damage. We first all discarded our hands and drew 5 cards, and with Consecrated Sphinx I had the ability to draw up to 20 cards, but decided to draw just 4 since my hand was already really full. I then created a copy of Thragtusk with the encoded Stolen Identity, gaining 5 life. Finally, I chose to cast Rack and Ruin from Brionne's graveyard, destroying her Soul Ring and Tim's Soul Ring. Second main phase, I cast Nightveil Spectre and ended my turn. Brionne played a Mountain for turn and cast Gamble and ended up discarding a Reverberate at random. Brionne then cast the card she had tutored for and overloaded Vandal Blast. Unfortunately for Brionne, I used one of my untapped Gilded Lotuses to cast Arcane Denial to counter the Vandal Blast. Brionne passed her turn. Tim populated another soldier token on his upkeep and played a Forest. He then cast Elspeth Knight Errant and used her to put another soldier token into play. He then cast Rampant Growth to grab a mountain and put it into play tapped. He ended his turn. I played Sunken Ruins on my turn and cast Spreading Seas on Tim's mountain. I then swung at Elspeth with my 2 flyers and then at Tim with Wrexial. Everyone discarded their hands and drew 10 since that was the amount I had in my hand at the time. I made another copy of Thragtusk, gaining 5 more life. I then cast Naiad Charm from Tim's graveyard, using the second mode to return Snapcaster Mage from my graveyard to my hand. Second main phase, I cast Mind Grind for 17, forcing Brionne and Tim to mill until they revealed 17 land cards. This ended up ending Brionne's game since she only had 14 land cards in her deck, but Tim ended up barely holding on with 3 cards left in his library. I finally ended my turn. Tim populated another soldier token on his upkeep, played a Plains, and cast Soul Warden. He then cast Huntmaster of the Fells, gaining 2 life and getting a 2/2 wolf. He cast Sundering Growth next, shooting Lightning Greaves and populating yet another soldier token. We then took a look at Tim's field, seeing if there was any way Tim could possibly kill me with a combination of attacking me with his tokens and then sacking his team to Goblin Bombardment. We concluded that he could take me down to 2 life, but no further. I revealed a Paranoid Delusions, and so we decided to end the game there. Thanks for watching this 3-player Commander gameplay. This video showcases just how ridiculous some Cypher cards can really be when backed up by plenty of counter magic and removal. I know this video has been a long time coming, so thanks for your patience guys, and as always, thanks for watching.